Hello and welcome to Speaking About Speaking. And for this episode, I have with me the lovely Rosie Sherry. Welcome, Rosie.
Hello, Jackie. Thanks for having me.
I did have a bit of a moment there because I was clicking on live and it wasn't coming up until about 3 seconds. So if there is anybody out there and suddenly you thought, oh my God, they're on, it did happen very quickly. So apologies for that. But welcome, Rosie. Rosie, for those of you that don't know, is founder and CEO of Ministry of Testing, the leading community of practice for software testing professionals. So we will get into that because I'd like to know what the Ministry of Testing, as somebody that used to go to the Ministry of Sound many years ago, Ministry of Testing sounds really good. She's an expert at community building and writes and researches around the subject via Rosie.land, which is obviously another you out there on social media, and there's a few places that people can find you. So you're sort of they're showing up in all sorts of places. But Rosie lives in Brighton, where she and her husband unschool their 5 children. Unschooling again, we'll come back to that. She advocates for community building, indie-pendence. That's indie-pendence for life choices, neurodivergence, and home education. Now, I saw you, Rosie, on the stage recently when you spoke for the You Are the Media Creator Day, and you were talking about your community building and the importance of the role it plays in uniting people and shaping businesses. So I'm looking forward to speaking to you about everything above. So let's start at the Ministry of Testing, because this is something you founded. How long has it been going? Because it predates lockdown, certainly.
Yeah.
So how did that get started? And explain a little bit as to what it actually is.
Yeah, so I guess quick summary is that when I started my career many years ago, I started in tech as a software tester. So that's kind of like how Ministry of Testing ended up coming about, was kind of mixing my interest in software testing and community. The more I kind of dove into software testing and discovered the idea of community, I thought, well, maybe it's a good idea to start a community for software testers, because there wasn't much out there. So I started that 2007 were like my initial efforts. So yeah, it's been a journey, and obviously like 2007 is it feels like a lifetime away these days. The world is very different. If we look back to what the tech world or even the world in general was like, it was a very different world. But yeah, I started it as a community, and over the years it kind of grew. First it was just online, and then over time we kind of we dove into conferences, and then we took the talks from the conferences that we had and we put them online, and then we did more conferences, and then we did more training, and then we built a membership around that, and it's just like slowly, like each year it grew and grew, as we kept kind of trying to plug away at it, I suppose. And yeah, it's just been there. I guess it's gained a reputation over time. It's probably the most active testing community. Well, it is the most active testing community out there. And it's independent as well from, I guess, other biases that often come into play with many companies or products. We're not owned by a software vendor, so we're like independent in how we're trying to do things. We're not biased by things that companies often get biased by. We're just trying to improve the software testing craft, and I think that helps with the trust building within the community.
Yeah. I mean, would you say it's a niche? It certainly sounds, I mean, obviously it's not in my realm at all. So I would imagine back in 2007, it was almost unheard of to start a community in that way.
Yeah, I mean, definitely there wasn't much around at all. I think back in those days, it was very old school forums. that were available. Rahul's in the comment.
I was just going to show that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here we go. This is obviously showing part of your community, I would imagine. Rahul, welcome.
Yeah.
Software testing communities is the reason behind me finding the purpose of my work and discover the inner interest that off. Thank you for that, Rahul.
Yeah, so he's been great recently. He's been showing up. He's been speaking at some of our events. He's, doing other things with us as well. So I guess that's a great example of what our community, where our community is at the moment. But it's been a journey, right? So like 2007, the world at that point was very much old school bulletin, forum bulletins, and not much else. Or I guess what often happened is that you'd have conferences, but people would run conferences, but not necessarily communities. Whereas I guess the approach we've taken is like, actually, we're doing conferences and community, or actually it's like a community all year round, and they both serve each other and they both support each other. They're not separate things.
Yeah.
The content we write is part of our community. The courses we create are part of our community. Everything is community essentially. We're just we're trying to find ways to work with people to create something of value and something that we think the community needs. And yeah, it's very much niche. So software testing, like in the tech world, you get all different types of roles, career path roles. And I guess like in our favor, like software testing is a career path, so people do want to invest their time into improving themselves, just like they would as a software developer or a software designer or UX designer. There's all these different career paths in tech, and one of those career paths is software testing.
Yeah.
And 2007, not as popular as it is today. It's definitely a growing market. I think we've benefited from that somewhat, but we've also invested in it as well. So we have a vested interest in trying to support the industry. That's really our goal, is to support the industry, help evolve the industry, help other people evolve it and share their ideas. And yeah, it's a different world from what it was in 2007. Different practices, different everything.
I mean, you talk about community. We've got Mark Masters here, who obviously has a fabulous community. You Are the Media. So hello, Mark. Good to see you here. And Mark is the reason you were on the stage at the Creator Day, which we will come on to. But as I know now, because of Mark and those communities that are around now, that actually this is, I mean, I sort of build this as community is the business, and it is, community has become a big part of business now. But imagine back in 2007, it was kind of unheard of in that way. Did you start it with community in mind, or did you start it to serve some other purpose?
A bit of both. I guess like I started it because partly like I was in software testing, and I had an interest in that, but I had discovered community, and I'd fallen in love with the idea of community, and I was, I guess you would say, obsessed with the idea that this is for me. It's like, it's something that I've latched onto and I haven't let go of since then. So I was basically always looking for excuses to create community. Everything I approach was like, it's just, I got to do this with community in mind. And I did that with ministry testing. I ran a co-working space around the same time as well. So I guess before co-working was popular, and that taught me a lot as well, and just like gathering with the people, and making friends and seeing them grow, and just helping connect people. It's just like, it feels so right to me that like in society we seem to have forgotten so much of that, I guess, and we try to like formalize everything, create processes around everything, and try to have ROI on everything, or so much stuff that to me just doesn't make sense. That if we just like had a more community-led approach and kind of trusted the process to some extent, then things do flourish. And I guess that's my goal, is like you know, my personal goal partly is ministerial testing, helping that succeed. And then the other goal is to kind of explore what community is, and help other people understand community, help myself understand community. Like everything that I'm exploring helps me understand it better, and it helps me try to teach or try to understand what community is and how we can build better communities.
Yeah. Did you feel that it was community back then? Was it? Did it feel like, you know, that was a word that was attached to what you were doing, or did it feel different?
It's definitely different from today. I'd say there's more community around, but like the community people that I connected with feel often like more authentic in what they were trying to do. I think there's a lot of I guess fakeness around these days, or a lot of especially during COVID, like the whole like boom. There's like a whole boom around community, especially, and a lot of it wasn't real. It was all, you know, kind of selfishly driven, money driven, VC driven, all sorts of things. And I wouldn't say it's given community a bad name, but a lot of it hasn't really helped. And a lot of startups tried to address community and think they could solve community with software, and it just doesn't work.
No.
You know, it's
Yeah.
yeah. So it's there's definitely things from 2007 that I miss, and it felt, you know, I think we feel that a lot with like social media algorithms. It's these days it feels more about the attention rather than what really matters, which is
Yeah.
the people.
I mean, I know before lockdown, you were doing lots of in-person conferences. You were organising conferences for the software testers, and so community, as in people getting into a room. How did that change suddenly when lockdown came and everybody then was in? Is that something you miss? I mean, I'm sure you still probably do organise these conferences, but it is, as you say, a
Yeah,
different world now, isn't it?
it's a completely different world. In some senses, I'm kind of glad it happened, because like we were probably doing too many events at the time. So like, obviously, I'm not really glad, but you know, sometimes I think about that. So pre-COVID, we did 9 events, 9 conferences. The conferences had between like 150 and 400 people each, over 2 or 3 days generally, but they were across the world, which is a bit nuts. So it's like from, you know, the UK to San Francisco to Germany to Ireland to Australia.
Did you go to Colombia and see Juan? Greetings from
not, not
Colombia.
not quite, but I am half Colombian, which most
Oh,
people don't know. So hello, Juan. Um, hola. But yeah, I mean, it was crazy times. But now it's like maybe now it's brought us more in balance, where it's in real life it's coming back. Like the meetups are coming back. Like we pre-COVID, we had like 100 member-led meetup groups. At the moment, we're at about 50, but they're coming back almost every week now. Like there's that energy for people to organize, and conferences are coming back, but we're only doing one a year, and I think one a year is actually in Brighton. That feels like a good goal. I'm not inspiring to do more. I think I'd rather have one really good event per year, and then the rest of the year we focus on either smaller events or online content and other activities we're doing.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it absolutely gobsmacks me that you managed to do so much when you have 5 children at home that you are unschooling. So tell me a little bit about how you managed to work all that. To
My
do all that, 'cause you've got a teenager, you got quite a wide range of ages in the household as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got between the ages of 6 and 20.
Wow.
So my two eldest technically aren't kids, I guess, but they all still live at home. Yeah, how do I do it? I don't know. I like starting things. My husband is in the background also helping out. We work together at Ministry of Testing. He does a bunch of the tech and the business management, I guess I would call it. So we're very much a team, but he doesn't join the limelight, I guess. I'm more of a front face kind of person. And that works for us. So we juggle a lot. We juggle the kids' needs, and yeah, it's intense. I'm not gonna lie, it's intense.
I can imagine it is. I've only got one, and she's enough. Yeah. I mean, one has pointed out here that Rosie.land, which I've got the link for to show you later. Rosie.land is famous on Community Universe. So you've got Rosie.land, you've got Ministry of Testing, you've got indie-pendence,
Yeah.
and Reckless Mothers on Instagram. Tell us a little bit about Reckless. As we're talking about the kids, how did Reckless Mothers come about? And is that a community? Have you?
It's not a community. I've been tempted to start a community around Reckless Mothers, but yeah, not quite. I have created a bit of a brand around it, and I use it more as a kind of icebreaker or fun joke to just like talk to people about. But the story behind it is that I go running, or this was like a few years back. I used to go running with. Obviously, I have 5 kids, so it's like the only way to get exercise in is to go running with your kids. Like if I want to run, I have to, to be efficient, I have to like think about taking at least like one of my kids with me. So it's like I dropped one child off at a football session. My youngest was in the buggy. It's a running buggy that you can get these days. And I would go running whilst he was at football. I'd use that 1 hour time. I'm going to go for a quick run, come back. Everyone's happy. So I did that on a windy day by the beach in New Haven. And the water was splashing up against the side. I was like, oh, cool, waves. I have a thing for waves. I like taking pictures. So I stopped to take a few pictures. I tried to take selfies. Selfies didn't work out, but I took a great picture of the buggy and waves splashing up near it. It was dry all around the buggy. There's absolutely no danger. But then like a few days later, I got a DM from someone on Instagram saying, I think you're in the newspapers. So what? I had not seen this, and they showed me. I was like, "Is this you?" I was like, "Holy shit! Yes, it is." And basically, the news article was just like talking about like how I put my child in danger, reckless behavior. This big 15-foot wave. Well, all I was trying to do was get a bit of exercise. So yeah, they never named me by name, so they had no idea who I was. It was just some guy taking a photo from like the cliff top up above. And at first when I saw it, I freaked out a bit because we homeschool our kids, and I was like, my first reaction was like, oh my god, like if like authorities found out about this, would they like, come and question me and like question what I'm doing to my kids? But like after like I calmed down a bit, I was like, actually, no, I'm going to turn this into a brand. I'm going to.
Oh, it was so. I have to say though, you opened your Creator Day talk with these images.
Yeah.
The first one being of you taking a selfie with the pushchair in the background and the wave, and then obviously the photograph that the paper took was at a different angle,
Yeah.
so it looked worse than it actually was. But yeah, I can imagine that you freaked out slightly, but. Yeah, so I mean, it was just iconic photograph. It was amazing. So, Reckless as Mothers has kind of taken off a little bit, or is it just still your own photographs?
No, it's just that I've got an Instagram account there. I haven't really updated it in a while. I've got the stickers. and badges that I have. I was meant to bring some to the Creator Day, but I forgot. I left them in my bag. But yeah, it's just more of a fun thing and more of a thing for me, just to kind of I guess I like to stick my finger up at authority a bit, and not let people like own me. So for me, it's like more about owning the story. It's
Yeah.
like we can be stronger as women, especially. I think that's important. Is that we can stand up and not be bullied. And even though that wasn't a threat, sometimes these things can turn nasty. So it's just like having a bit of fun around it, and
Yeah.
the ability to say that I've been in the Daily Mail also is kind of fun.
Yeah, lucky. So it's kind of, I mean, obviously you say you're half Colombian, and I know you moved around and you sort of lived in different countries. Is there something of the rebel in you? Is that the reason for the unschooling, homeschooling kind of side of you? That kind of rebellious, reckless?
Yeah. I'm not sure if rebel is the right word, but a bit rebellious. I guess, like, in hindsight, I would say it's more down to neurodivergency. But I didn't always. I wasn't necessarily aware of that from the beginning, but that's how I would describe it now. Like, it's probably more a need of us to unschool, because I'm neurodivergent, I'm autistic, ADHD, and like basically all my kids are. It's how I look at it, and neurodivergence. The more we discover, like, the school system just doesn't align, basically. So it always felt right for me not to send my kids to school. I didn't necessarily always go to school, but that was like different circumstances. But yeah, everything about school just didn't feel right, and it feels pretty special right now what we're doing.
Yeah.
Having more freedom, having more trust in the kids, giving them more space and more options to choose. And homeschooling or unschooling doesn't mean we're doing it at home. It just means we're looking at different options. And one of the phrases my girls are the youngest two, that they use is really sweet, actually. It's they say that we go to many schools, and they do. They go to classes. They go to forest school. There's this part-time school thing that they go to 2 days a week. They go to gymnastics, or they go to many schools. Basically, that's what they call it.
Yeah.
But we get to choose them, and once they've had enough, they're allowed to stop going. They obviously we communicate it and stuff like that. But I think that actually creates stronger, more resilient children who get the choice to try things out and learn from what they're trying out. And I find, like, the more we do that and the more we listen to them and their needs, alongside us as parents, our needs as well, that definitely comes into play. It just it leads to something almost like, it sounds cheesy, but undescribable. It's like we're not forcing something upon them, and they can't always communicate why they don't want to do something. But for some reason in society, we don't really listen to our kids. So this whole practice of trying to work with them, trying to give them options, letting them try things out, and giving them that freedom to say no, is precisely what we do as adults.
Yeah.
If we force adults to do what kids have to do in a school environment, they just wouldn't put up with it. So it's, we're kind of trying to treat our kids like adults, whilst also understanding that they're children and they need care.
Yeah.
But yeah, for some reason there's that lack of respect for kids, and when the kids are in school, it's hard to explain that to society when other people have kids in school. So
I think it's, the school system is a one size fits all thing, and one size does not fit all, and there just isn't, I suppose, the space to be able to teach kids the way that they should be, or give them the freedom that they need, really. But no, I'm right there with you. I think it's, if I'd have had a different outlook, maybe if I knew then what I know now, it's one of those, really. Absolutely agree.
Yeah.
If there is anybody out there, because I can't believe we're 5 minutes off our 30 minutes. If there is anybody out there would like to ask a question, put a question in the comments, then we are happy to answer. If you are watching on the replay, then please again do leave a comment or ask a question, and we'll get back to you as soon as. So just please feel free to do that. So Rosie, it sounds as if there's a whole other talk in there for you, and obviously this is speaking about speaking, and it would be amiss of me not to comment on the amount of content that you have to get on stages and sort of share your message and share your ideas. Is this something that you'll be doing more of? Maybe outside of the community stuff that you do, maybe talking about the homeschooling and talking about neurodivergence and all of those things.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely like open to talking about stuff. Neurodivergence is definitely like a newer thing for us, but still, it's been like a good few years we've been on that journey. But it's a growing field, and I mean, like, I'm a pretty open person, and I like to share experiences. I guess I would probably struggle more with like a formalized talk around neurodivergence. Whereas with community, it's different because I've been formulating ideas around that for on Rosie.land for like the past 4 years. So like to put together a talk doesn't feel too hard for me. Like I have a million ideas there that I can build upon, and that's kind of like how I did the talk at Creator Days, is just like building upon ideas that I've already written about, but trying to weave something together. But yeah, most of my stuff has been online or virtual or conversations like this, compared to actual formal talks. But yeah, I'm doing a community talk next month at Community-led conference in London. So that's one. That's probably the only one in real life that I'm doing this year, apart from the Creator Day one. I kind of had to protect myself and with in real life stuff. I have less capacity for that. Whereas online stuff, it's a lot easier for me just to jump online and go and talk and pull something together.
Do you get nervous?
Yeah, definitely. Not so much online. I'm more chilled online, but definitely in real life, it's a different experience. And also being neurodivergent, there's challenges involved with that, with all the sensory stuff that goes on. But definitely nervous. I mean, a lot of people look at me and think, "I say, how can she? Surely she wouldn't be nervous." Like Juan Diego says, like I'm famous and stuff, but really I'm just like me in the background, like geeking out my things, and it's I'm just human and trying to do my thing and seeking approval as much as anyone else, seeking feedback, there's all those kind of things. But practice makes perfect, right? So I definitely feel like the more I practice, the easier it will get.
Yeah, that's what I tell everybody. Yeah, keep doing it. Do what frightens you most, and then just keep doing it, and it will get better. It will get better. Brilliant. There is a question that I do ask at the end of every episode, and I didn't pre-warn you, so apologies for that. But it's basically because I'm sure you've organized many conferences, you've seen speakers on stage, you've been a speaker. In your opinion, what makes a good speaker good and a bad speaker suck?
What makes a good speaker good is talking from their own experience, I think, and one that relates to the audience that they're speaking to. I think some of the best talks we've had, like at Ministry of Testing, have not necessarily been the most educational or the most interesting. They've been the ones that have had the best connection with the people. So like one of our goals was always to like try to get new speakers on stage, or we would have a goal of literally is like we want people to have their first speaking opportunity at Ministry of Testing. So we would go hunting for new voices, and quite often it was those people that people cheer on after them or connect with them well because they were part of the community and they had a story that they wanted to tell, and people just wanted to back them up, right? So that's like, for me, it's like you don't have to be an expert, and I would encourage anyone to like get involved and get to know people, rather than thinking that they have to be an expert. And that's probably more important these days with the need to be more inclusive in who we include to speak and have a diverse set of speakers, and backgrounds and all of that. And what makes it bad speaking? I guess, it would be the opposite of that. Someone who doesn't connect, someone who doesn't understand the audience, someone who talks about stuff that is not relevant, or someone that, it's like reading off the slides a bit too much rather than trying to say the things that actually connect with the people.
Yeah, brilliant. We've just Liam's just jumped on. Liam was at the Creator Day. Thanks both for an interesting chat. Still thinking a lot about your talk at Creator Day, Rosie. So that's great. Thank you, Liam. Thank you. Brilliant. Well, I'm going to just, if anybody wants to connect with you, Rosie.land, quickly, what can people find at Rosie.land?
Rosie.land is where I write about community, basically. So I've got like an archive of 4 years worth of articles that I've written. I've got a knowledge base there and a small community, and that's where I hang out about community. So I'd encourage you to, if you want to learn about community, I guess I'm known for helping people change their minds about what community is. So,
Fabulous, fabulous.
Yeah,
and you sort of saying about speaking, good speakers and communities. That's exactly what Mark obviously did for Creator Day and all of the events he puts on. He finds people in the community that have got a story to share and gives them the opportunity to step up, which I think is brilliant. And then indie-pendence. What's that?
So that's I've not been as active there, but like that's kind of like my outlet for talking about business and independence and being a founder and trying to carve out our own lives, I guess. So I very much I guess I'm not very good at holding down jobs, and I'm much better at creating my own path. And I guess one idea around that is, if I can create a path for myself, run a successful business, have employees, have 5 kids, unschool my kids, have side projects, all these kind of things. If I can do that, then maybe other people can as well, and maybe my story might matter to someone.
Yeah, resonates. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And ministryoftesting.com. That's obviously where people can go and become part of that community. And then recklessmother.com. Actually, if we put this one, which is the Instagram, so that's where people can find those fabulous photos of your beautiful smiling children. There's just been so many gorgeous photos. So thank you for that. And if anybody would like to get in contact with me, you can go to powertospeak.co.uk and find out about all that I do when I'm speaking about speaking and working with people on their talks. But thank you very much, Rosie, for being here. It's been an absolute honor and a pleasure to speak to you. And I'm so sorry we didn't get to have a chat on Creator Day, but hopefully we'll meet up again at some point in the future. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
And You're more than welcome. Everybody out there, next week I have the lovely Alex King with me, who has just joined my speaker club and has some speaking opportunities coming up that she's going to come and talk to me about. Rosie, you might remember Alex, or do you know Alex? She was the lady that did the hugging. She was the world record hugger on the day. So Alex King will be with me next week. But lovely to see you. Lovely to see everybody here, and speak to you soon. Bye.
Bye.